Hello students, I just wanted to talk to you about your first writing assignment. Next week you're going to be reading and studying chapter 6, positive messages. And so I want to clarify positive messages. I think it's misleading. It sounds like you're only going to be reading about or writing positive or happy or good messages where you're thanking somebody or congratulating somebody. And that is not what that chapter is about. So please read it carefully. And I want you to think of the word direct format or direct organization instead of positive messages. Again, positive, all that means is that you are directly addressing what you want in your very first paragraph. So whatever you expect of your recipient, you put that in your first paragraph. And then your second paragraph, you put all the details, the reason, the rationalization why you think you should have your request met. And then in your closing paragraph, you have a forward-looking comment or sentence or so where you're referencing what you would like. And then, of course, you want to leave, close out that paragraph by providing your email address, professional sounding. It hasn't got to be your real one. It's just for the letter. Your professional address and your cell phone number or best contact number. Again, these can be made up from the, just made up because it's for an assignment. But I just want to clarify that for you. Positive, think of it as direct pattern of organization or direct organization. So for this particular, your first letter, everybody is writing the same kind of letter, but you all are going to be writing a complaint letter, basically. So what you're going to do is think about a time when you were not happy with a product or service. And of course, you can read the assignment sheet there. But you're just going to think about a product or service that you didn't like or that disappointed you. And then you're going to write to the company and explain your what you would like them to do to correct that for you. Maybe you're asking for them to give you a new product. Maybe you're asking for them to give you your money back. Maybe you just want to ask that they provide better training for their employees, depending on what you're writing about. Only you know that. So your task is to select a product or a service, and then using the positive message approach, and again, think about direct pattern of organization, write a claim letter requesting a refund, replacement, explanation, or whatever seems reasonable to you. And keep in mind, if you bought a vacuum cleaner 5 years ago and it's broken, it's not reasonable to request a replacement vacuum cleaner or a full refund. So just keep that kind of stuff in mind. If you've got a food product, make sure that you include a barcode identification from the package if possible. And then, of course, you want to consider if you're asking for a refund or even if you're asking for a replacement, you need to provide proof of purchase, which will have the date and how much you paid and all that. And of course, you're not really going to send that to me because it's just a letter for our class. But but you're pretending as if you really were going to send it. What would you have to include? Maybe a packing slip. I don't know. You know, based on whatever it is that you're going to write about. And your book says, or the directions tell you to use Objective 3 in Chapter 6 to guide your content. I've also provided you with an example, so I'll show you that as well. So as far as grading goes, half of your grade comes from your content organization and format. And I'm going to make a different little video showing you that information. But half of your grade comes from your grammar and mechanics, and you've learned all about the different grammar and mechanics issues up until now. Keep in mind also that the syllabus has got a list of major and minor mechanical and grammatical errors. So look for those types of errors. Just open up that your syllabus and maybe print those pages so you can go through those. Of course, I am going to grade you on grammar and mechanic correctness because this affects your credibility and your business credibility as well. So you don't want to, maybe everything is beautifully formatted, it's organized correctly, it's got all the content, but if it's got terrible grammar and mechanics, it's going to fail. So keep that in mind. Both of them work together. So your paper could fail for the other areas just as easily. In other words, you might have great grammar and mechanics, but everything else is poor. So your paper could fail on that as well. So everything needs to be represent your very best work, and you need to go above and beyond. You have 3 writing assignments. Each one counts about 12.5% of your overall grade. So you don't want to wait and start working really hard on your final writing assignment. You want to start working hard on the first writing assignment. And of course, I do not pre-grade your work, so please don't ask me to look at your letter and give you an opinion. I can't do that, but I do suggest you go see a tutor. Now, all the campuses have tutors. We have a wonderful tutor at Carroll campus. Her name is Pamela Yates. And if you are close to Carroll campus and you can go over to see her, if you have other classes on Carroll campus, please go by her door. She's in room 301C, I believe. Anyway, go by her door. If you want to come to my office, 301L, I will show you how to get to the tutoring office or classroom. And you can sign up for a day to see her. You can also email her at Pamela, Pamela, .Yates, Yates, at westgatech.edu and request a tutoring session. I would say also refer back to the your Applia work. You can use Applia. Go back into it for practice if you need to. And also instructional videos in Blackboard that I've provided for you. And then we've also got Upswing, which is located, if I can pull it up right quick, right here. I'm looking at our Blackboard classroom, one of my online classrooms. So Upswing Tutoring right there. So you can click on that and you can actually go ahead and upload your paper. That is not the best way to get tutoring, but if you cannot get to a campus near you, you need to have something, and something is surely better than nothing. But the people who tutor there may not be business writers or may not know grammar mechanics necessarily, so you really want somebody who does know that, and Miss Yates does know that, and she's very, very helpful. Okay, and so of course your content and organization, this is taught in this letter. You're using the positive or direct strategy of organization, and you want to follow the sample letter that I provided for you, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. Okay, so basic formatting. You guys are going to use full block for business formatting. The example that I provide for you is a full block business formatting. You want to make sure that you are using Word. You can't use Notepad or Google Docs. It has to be Microsoft Word. So please make sure that you've got Microsoft Word on your computer so that you can actually write your paper in Microsoft Word. If you don't have Microsoft Word, you can again go to our syllabus and download the free, or click on the link to the free download of Office 365. The following are acceptable fonts that you can use for the business letter. So Arial, Georgia, Tahoma, Verdana, Caducee, Rockwell, and Times New Roman are all acceptable fonts to use for your business letters. And remember too, as always, any writing assignment is going to have, require you to use the elements of composition, topic sentences, major, minor details. You guys know that. and apply what you learned about business writing content, sentence and paragraph length, structure, using bullet points if necessary, etc. So I hope that you have been completing those exercises that I provided for you in Blackboard last week, the ones that cover like the different, how to shorten your sentences, how to use the you attitude, how to avoid negative language. So even though you're complaining about something and you do have to say that there's a problem with this product or the service, you want to use positive language as best as possible. You don't want it to sound accusatory or blaming, because you want the recipient to want to help you. You don't want the person to just throw your letter in the garbage can. And I know your parents probably told you when you were a kid that you draw more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. So it's very important to keep that in mind. Be nice, even though you are writing a complaint. And I've got a pre-submission checklist for you here. So it just tells you, submit a letter of professional appearance. So I know that you guys are going to give this to me as a Word document, but you can find all types of letterheads and borders in Microsoft Word. So please do not use anything that's got decoration, flowers, birds, hearts, stars, babies, recipe note cards. I mean, any of that stuff, crayons. That's not professional, and it's not going to, and you're not a business. You are just you complaining about a product. Also, you want to make sure that you apply full block formatting to your letter. You want to use passive voice only when necessary to avoid that accusatory tone. And you can, again, make sure that you do the exercises that I sent you. I posted in Blackboard for you for Chapter 2, 3, and 4. And remember, 3 and 4 are both together as one document in Chapter 4. You want to avoid contractions. You want to avoid the use of the words it and there as filler words. So, for example, you wouldn't want to say, there is something wrong with my toaster. My toaster has a problem or has a defect. Not there is something wrong. It is annoying to me when people text and drive. What is annoying? It's a pronoun. So people texting and driving annoy me. Address a person. Avoid to whom it may concern. Use an actual person. And again, it's just for us, so make up a name. But don't make up like Joe Blow. Make up a real, like it can be, I don't know, John Johnson. I don't care what you write as a name, but make sure that you have a name and not that to whom it may concern. Provide your phone number and email for future communication, and that should be in your last paragraph. And then you're going to sign your name with dark blue signature font, and we'll look at that in a few minutes in my next video. And make sure that your font is 11 or 12 point, no larger, no smaller. And then, of course, ask me if you have any questions. So I'm going to end this video and upload it to YouTube, and I'm going to go ahead and start the next one, going over the sample letters. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.